And CBS News political director and Face the Nation moderator John Dickerson joins us now from Farmville, Virginia. And John, lots to get to, but just with regard then to the candidates themselves, if surrogacy is still really the point at a vice presidential debate, to reduce this perhaps overly simply to winners and losers, was there a clear winner last night?
I think the winner in the 90 minutes was probably Mike Pence. He was prepared. He was unflappable. He took all questions about Donald Trump, largely avoided them, and pivoted back to keeping the conversation on Hillary Clinton. Senator Kaine, by comparison, was constantly interrupting, which came across as a little over-caffeinated and rushed. Now, that's in the 90 minutes. I think in the days after the debate, the obvious thing the Clinton team will push is the fact that Mike Pence often and repeatedly refused to kind of come to the aid or defense of the candidate he's running with. Often said that Donald Trump didn't say things that he in fact did say. And so these debates live on afterwards, and there's a lot of material there for the Clinton team to exploit. The question is whether, when it's an undercard debate, people are still going to be talking about that. The debate usually everybody forgets it and moves back to the conversation about the people at the top of the ticket.
And certainly that will be happening, if only because the second presidential debate is looming on Sunday. And so perhaps that gives the performance last night an outsized quality. With regard to that, then, obviously early on, the strategy from Senator Kaine was to be on the offensive, to interrupt early and often. It seemed a curious one considering the week that Donald Trump had just had and what the polls seemed to suggest about Hillary Clinton's ascension.
It really felt like they were playing two different games. That on the one hand, you had Senator Kaine came in with a strategy, interrupt constantly and just stay in Mike Pence's face, keeping Donald Trump on the stage as much as possible, at least figuratively. And that was a kind of general election strategy, it felt like. Mike Pence was in it for the moment. He was in it to go back and forth. And obviously, by keeping Hillary Clinton in the conversation so much, he had an eye towards the general election, too. But he seemed more concerned with the actual debate that was taking place in the moment, and Kaine just had was willing to basically lose on style for a larger goal.
More than once, in fact, deploying canned lines. I know you, in fact, refer to the actual canned line regarding a canned line as the rare toucan, and kudos to you, my friend. Meanwhile, with regard to Mike Pence, then, if he seemed to, if nothing else, not take the bait repeatedly. At one point, Senator Kaine actually referred to the fact that he'd 6 times asked Governor Pence to defend something with regard to Donald Trump, and 6 times he had refused. That revealed itself as a strategy unto itself.
Well, that's right. Exactly. Mike Pence's strategy was to, take all incoming on Donald Trump, duck them, and then turn the conversation back to Hillary Clinton. That is a, time-tested strategy. The question is, now that we're in the day after, what does that mean when you have a running mate who won't stand up for the person at the top of the ticket? Does that mean that they were, that's an unanswered question. And Tim Kaine wasn't bringing up just tiny little things. And then when Mike Pence did defend Donald Trump on issues like, say, Russia, his description of the Russian leader Vladimir Putin was far different than the one that Donald Trump has painted. And so that raises questions about what Donald Trump really does believe and think. That undoubtedly will come up at the next debate. And so there were some, in the times he did talk about Donald Trump, there were some areas where they just don't match up. So, again, that's what will be live on afterwards beyond the night.
It also seemed, in the end, to present some moments that we simply haven't seen in certainly this general election cycle with regard to questions regarding the respective men's faiths and how it informed their feeling about a woman's right to choose. What did you make of a rather thoughtful end, I suppose, to what, to your point, had been a bicker fest to that point?
Yeah, well, that was what made it so interesting. Is you had two men of faith talking about how they navigate around the difficult intersection between their private faith and their public roles. On abortion, on the death penalty, it was there for a moment what you might hope a debate would be like between two people who hope to have positions of such power. But basically, what made me feel like anyway was that. The other, 85 minutes of the debate were very much different than that more thoughtful exchange there at the end.
Do you, a lot of people in the initial aftermath were forecasting Mike Pence 2020 with regard to his performance. Did you get a sense that there was personal ambition infused in his decisions last night?
Yeah, that was the assessment of a lot of our colleagues. The idea was that Tim Kaine was running for 2016, Mike Pence was running for 2020. The point being that Pence was kind of not overly trying to defend Donald Trump. I think it might be a little too pat. I think that Mike Pence gave a performance that he can be proud of, that the Trump campaign can be proud of. It's just that vice presidential performances and debates are of limited value usually in these campaigns because they're really about the person at the top of the ticket. That's not really Mike Pence's fault. So, to the extent that candidates do use the vice presidential campaign as a springboard, Mike Pence has something to point to that that'll probably help him if he ever decides to run on his own.
And considering, the week that his running mate had perhaps something that can help the campaign itself in the short term. John Dickerson, as always, you make us better. We appreciate it.
Thanks a lot, Josh.